We've heard a lot today, and I will try to provide you a little insight on how I see it. Do any of you know who Mark Twain is? Mark Twain is a famous American writer, and as you can see, it's a very relevant quote. And the death of branches has been promoted 3 or 4 times in the last 30 years. First with ATMs, then with internet banking, and now with digital. So, digital matters. It's important. If you don't understand it, you're not talking about it in your board or with your team, then you're behind. Because the colleagues have already said today what the future will look like. How fast Ukraine will adapt to Brett's vision, how fast Ukraine will go towards George's vision. That's the question that nobody can answer. I don't have a clear answer. But I know that the branch will be one of the channels. Today it is the main channel in Ukraine. It will be one of the channels that you as customers will utilize to get their banking experience. There will be different customers, segments, who will want to come to the branch. And there will be customers, as Brett said, who will never see the inside of a branch in their whole life. But that's okay. Because we as bankers, we as retail bankers, understand that and we'll adapt to it. Channel integration is about the future. And I will provide you a little bit more insight on what I mean channel integration. We have this concept of multi-channel for many years, but really nobody understands multi-channel. I didn't either. But now I get a clear vision what multi-channel means and how these channels, this branch, should be integrated across the different channels. Do you know your customers? This is a common question that we all, whether in banking or other businesses, do you know who your customers are? Of course I do. I know my customers. It's Mary, it's Slava, it's Pavel. He's 45, she's 30. We know the demographics. We have tons of information about our customers. I found this slide in the Price Waterhouse study, and it was very impressive for me, and I had to think about it, what they were saying. How we segment our customers in the future will be dramatically different than how we do it today. We would look at their behaviors, what their social demographics are, not their economic demographics. We'll look how they behave, what channels they utilize, what is their spending power. These are things we don't do today, and we need to get much better at it, because this is what's going to drive our customer behavior in the future. And if you can understand which customers and which channels, you'll be more predictive in offering that customer the channel he wants, how you interact with that customer, how you want to advise him, and what products. Today we don't have that. Nobody here in Ukraine has that, and we all think about how to do this, and it's a challenge for us. Branches in Ukraine. Outside of one bank, the more branches you have, the more customers you have. There's only one bank in Ukraine that doesn't follow this. And they're here in the audience. Will this change? Probably not in the future. But in the near future, or the midterm future, it probably will. And George talked about some of the external players who will come, take bits and pieces of your business away from you. Payments. Payments will probably leave banks. It's inevitable. People can do it cheaper, faster than banks can. Banks are represented by the brand, their image, and the values. People bank with you because of these 3. It's very simple. The regulatory environment, as Cyril talked about, is overly burdensome. The Ukrainian banking regulations do not work in our favor. We all know this. We deal with it on a daily basis. The absurdity of some things that we are requested to do. But it's a part of our life. They as the regulator, we as the bank. Maybe these abbreviations next are you familiar with? Are you familiar with FACTA? Are you familiar with anti-money laundering? Politically exposed persons? Know your customer? These are relatively new things within the last 5 to 7 years that affects your lives now, affects you in the future. This is regulatory. This is compliance. This is checking. This is face-to-face. You will not be able to do away with these, and they will become more burdensome. FACTA is a derivative of the US. But can you imagine when Germany has their FACTA? When England has FACTA? When Spain has FACTA? When Israel has FACTA? When Russia has FACTA? How will banks operate when every country requires you to send them data about customers, transactions? It becomes burdensome. And this is what we have in Ukraine, and it will become even more in the future. Cash is king. We talked about it. Colleagues did, so I'm not going to reiterate what they said. Banks continue to buy branches, open new branches. All you have to refer to is point number 1, the reason why. Banks open branches to get more customers. That's the trend we have today, and it will continue in the near future. Technology is not mass today. How many of you have a smartphone? Can you raise it? Penetration in Ukraine is? This is fresh information. 9%. So I see more than 9% here, so we're much better than the average in Ukraine. But in 2010, it was 2%. So it's going leaps and bounds. But does that mean, when does penetration hit 75% as it is in the US or Spain? I think a few more years, quite possibly into 2025. GfK research. We talk to our customers, we do surveys, what do they want, how they choose, why they choose, what should we do, and we gather this information and process it. This is a snapshot of today. Why do customers choose banks? It's very clear. Stability of the bank. It's a trust factor. Number 1. Pricing. And location of branches. I didn't say this. This is what consumers say. This is GfK for the top banks in the country, pay for this on a quarterly basis. For customers, when they choose a bank, what are the 3 reasons why? The 3 most important. Close to my house, close to my work. I don't see digital there. People bank because you're next door. People bank because you're close. That's what it is today. In the future, it will be different. But we'll talk about that. Don't forget about SMEs. The backbone of any developed country is SMEs in terms of employment numbers, percentage of GDP. SMEs don't like electronic channels. They like both, branches and electronic. They want to come into the branch. They want to talk to their advisor. They want to ensure that the payment is made. They want to see the stamp on the piece of paper. It's a trust factor also. And remember, SMEs are owned by an owner or a group of owners. And where I bank with my business is usually where I bank with my personal business. GfK research for SMEs. You can see when they choose a bank, The top one is electronic banking, client bank, internet banking. It hasn't grown from 2011 to 2012. But what is growing is, I want to communicate with my bank through the telephone. Dramatic increase. Let's see this. I want to visit a branch. Goes from 30% to 37%. People want to still visit a branch. I didn't make this up. It's not my studies. Why Ukrainians prefer branches? There are some good reasons why. People believe money is special. It is special. It allows you to put clothes on your body, to eat, to drive a car, to talk on your smartphone. You want to ensure that your money is safe. And the best way for a human to believe this is to actually see that the money where you put, there is something there. Humans, our generation, find it difficult to believe that if you don't see where something is, you question whether it actually exists. And here in Ukraine, this is the case, because through many crises and many bankruptcies, people have lost lots of money. So they still believe in the physical location. It's human nature. People believe in interaction. I cannot believe that in the future, people will only communicate by smartphone and by text message. What happens to communication? Why do people teach you how to communicate in your business, but on your personal side, you should communicate by digital? Is digital really the communication channel for the future? Can you imagine having meetings in your business where everybody texts each other? I don't think so. You need to communicate. Why people communicate? To derive value from that. People want a sense of feeling, sense of being understood. We see from our research that people who even use digital like to still come to the branch, not because they're forced, because they like to have that reassurance. And that will continue in the future. When I come to a branch, or our customers come to a branch, I look for financial advice. Brett raises a good question, and here we have different viewpoints. Do I trust a blog of 40 people, or do I trust a bank advisor? It's a question. How many times have you booked a hotel and looked at TripAdvisor and all the ratings and the comments of the hotel? And you personally, did you follow those blog comments? Or did you make your own decision? It's an important question. Financial literacy. We live in a country where financial matters, financial literacy is not on the same scale as it is in Warsaw, London, New York City, Singapore, Hong Kong. We should accept that fact, and that will develop over time. People simply don't understand finance. It's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, but it works in favor of banks because they become the trusted advisor. And when this trusted advisor relationship between the customer and the client is broken, then we have crises, we have mortgage crises, we have bank failures, but those have happened throughout the history of life and the history of a bank. You will never over that. Same way, when the store closes, do you cry? You didn't invest your money in that store or deposit, but now it's not next door and you have to go to another store to buy products. So my vision, or how I see it, is a world in retail banking in Ukraine called brick and click. Brick is the kripitki of the branch, and it will always exist. Click is the digital world that we talk about today and where we want to go. I see channel integration as the driving factor. You start online, you follow by phone, somebody from the call center, You finish in the branch and you have a follow-up by email. What better customer experience is that, where you've covered all the digital channels and the brick? Here, I'm not forcing anybody into the branch. I'm not forcing. Everything is prepared. And that happens when channels are integrated, not standalone. How many of you know what moments of truth are? Do you work on the 5 biggest moments of truth for customers in your bank? So a moment of truth is the moment, it's a decisive decision. A decision has to be made by a customer. And how do you react to that decision? The bank. Do you feel happy, or do you feel mad and walk out? And if you can manage those moments of truth, that improves your customer experience. And the customer experience is a direct part of your ability to keep customers in the branch. I would say the majority of people who don't want to go to the branch are because they have poor service. They're simply not served fast enough to meet their expectations. They had a problem that was not resolved. People were rude. There was lines. Those are moments of truth. Who knows what wow is? We don't have it in Ukraine, but wow means where the customer is overwhelmed by something. And he believes that, wow, this is fantastic. This is great. I love this person. I love this bank. I love this cashier. Because something was done to make this person happy. For this a small amount of time that a person goes into the branch. 1 minute, he was like, wow, this is great. I didn't know I can do that. And he walks out, guess what? He tells his friends. He tells his friend, and the next friend goes to the branch. That's how you win customers. That's how you keep customers. You have to balance the digital with customer interaction. Digital is a part. Don't underestimate its importance. The colleagues have mentioned, I don't want to reiterate. It is a part of your strategy. If not, you will lose customers. It's simple as that. When you look at the customer segmentation, a certain set of those customers will walk from your bank because you don't interact with them, you don't provide digital channels for them, you don't make their customer experience worthwhile. We all know that the conversion rate for a branch is much higher than a click-through. And click-through means with your mouse or with your laptop. Products are sold in the branch, and they will continue. Face-to-face, 95% of sales. Will this go down? Yes, of course it will go down. But I do not believe this number goes down to 10%, 15%, or 30%. It will stay from 50 to 60% in face-to-face conversations. For the same reasons I told you why Ukrainians like to go to branches. This is my favorite because it applies to me as a big bank in this country with lots of branches. I should not be satisfied because I'm a winner today, because the rules of the game change. I'm a winner today, but in 5 years, I could be out of the game. Really. Because somebody does it better than me. They have digital integration. They have better customer service in the branch when the customers come into the branch. So, do we evolve or do we die? What will the branch look like? I wanted to show some pictures, but anybody who puts in new branch in Google or anything will find hundreds of pictures of beautiful branches, new concepts, so I don't want to bore you with that. Will it be a cafe? Will it be like an Apple store? Will it be like Gap? Will it be DIY, do it yourself? No people in the branch, just lots of innovation with people just look at it and can't understand what to do and they're scared of it and they walk out. It's a choice for you. And again, if you understand your customers, what you have today and what you will have in the future, you will design your branches to meet their expectations. Smaller is better, for sure. The 300 square meter, the 250 square meter, the 150 square meter branches are gone. I think this is clear. This is not only in Ukraine, it's a worldwide trend in Eastern and Central Europe. Simple transactions will be gone from the branch. Payments, cash, whatever. You will provide separate channels to do it more effectively, cheaper. The customer will be happy. But when he comes to the branch, he wants to do something. He wants advisory, he wants financial assistance, he wants product knowledge. There will be much fewer branches in Ukraine. Even though, according to the World Bank, Ukraine has penetration per 1,000 adults of 2.3 branches, compared to Spain, which is 80 branches per 1,000. There will be less branches. Even I accept this as one of the biggest branch banks in the country. The branches will be more effectively run. We've seen this slide from the movie from 2007, how effective this is. This is great, great promotion, I love it, but it's not reality. But they will be effectively more run because it's more about advisory. To do a payment transaction will be done in the internet for free, or a kiosk, or your mobile phone. You come into the branch for advisory. This is the one picture I have to show you because it's very interesting. I was in this branch, and I stood there for almost 30 minutes, just amazed at what I saw, this customer experience. This is a bank. It's owned by one of the biggest Singaporean banks. But this is a special brand they developed for Generation X, Generation Y. Yeah? It's like a store. It's in shopping malls. They don't have them in the high streets, only in shopping malls. And you go in, it looks like an Apple store or a record store or something. Here, on the bottom right-hand corner, these are pieces of cards or postcards. On the back is the product information. You pick it up, you bring it here, you give it to the guy, he registers you, you open your account, you get a credit card, you get a current account, you get a deposit right there. And it's cool. Everything is so cool about it. And when I was in the store, there was not a person over 35 in there. I was the only one. Yeah. So this bank has done something. They've segmented their customers, and they say, we're not going to touch our traditional branches because we have a certain set of customers. But we're going to develop this special branch with this special name. And this branch was full for 30 minutes. It's a good example of how segmentation works, how you build special branches for special types of customers. Believe me, there would be no older persons walking in this branch even in Ukraine or any other country. So, all of this transformation, the move to digital, while still maintaining an advisory role in the branch, has big challenges. We talked about big data, how to utilize big data. Big data is your life. It tells everything about your customers. And you have all this big data in your bank or in your organization. You just don't know how to get it or where it is. But this is the key to making sure that you have a 360 view of a customer. What channels he utilizes, how often, what products he buys, what products he doesn't buy, how the product matches his lifestyle. Does he need investment funds? Does he need advisory? Or he needs simple, cheap transactions that can be done through the digital. You will drive traffic into your branches by customer experience. I talked about it. If you have wow moments, you measure the moments of truth, customers will refer you. It's called NPS, Net Promoter Score. It's not multi-million-dollar campaigns to promote something. It's word of mouth. That's the best channel for promoting your brand and your bank as a whole. Maybe some of you know Lean. It's a process enhancement developed by Toyota, championed by Toyota, world-renowned. It's about process enhancement, process improvement, taking waste out of processes. Here I learned so much about how inefficient my processes are in the branch. I sometimes cry because we really do that. It's really like that. And this affects customers' behavior and their experience. If it takes 15 pages, 10 signatures, the customer has to come into the branch to do this. Something's wrong with the process. Look at the process. Your branch is about processes, really. It's not about products, it's about processes. That's what holds the branch together. And if you can make those processes like Frank Bank, believe me, your customers will love you. Finally, the most important thing, which has not been discussed here, and I think it's relevant, and George mentioned it briefly, is can you make money on digital? Digital is expensive. It's not something you just buy in Foxtrot and then plug it in and it works. It's very time-consuming, very expensive. Can you make money? How do you make money by pushing cheap transactions to digital, which are basically free of charge for the customer? Therefore, the digital with the brick and click is a prerequisite for profitability on the branch and for the bank as a whole, for retail. If you don't have advisory in the branch, how are you going to make money off digital? It's a service channel. Finally, I have 6 accounts in 6 banks in 4 countries. And when I'm in one of those countries, I make it a habit of going to the branch. I enjoy to speak to my banker, to my advisor. I want to see his face. He wants to see me. It's natural human communication. I want to just simply have a coffee with him, understand, and we look at what I have and what I don't have, strategize, whatever. But I'm the perfect customer for a bank. I do all my simple transactions online because many of the countries I don't live in. But when I need advisory, I have somebody there for me. And for me, this is the vision. This is how we as bankers here in Ukraine will evolve and survive. Thank you.